In this video, I would like to talk about the fundamental duties. So, we were dealing with the various aspects of the citizens, and we have seen part 3 of the constitution, that is fundamental rights. So, here it is fundamental duties. Please see, part 3 we dealt with fundamental rights. Part 2, that is about citizenship. Okay, part 2 was citizenship, and part 1 of the constitution was India and the states. Part 4, directive principles of state policy, and now we are talking about 4A, that is fundamental duties. So, part 4A of the constitution, fundamental duties. So, otherwise we know fundamental rights we have done from 12 to 35. Directive principles, article 36 to 51. This is 51A, article 51A and 4A of the constitution, that is fundamental duties. And one more point we should remember here is fundamental duties were not there in the original constitution. It was added to our constitution later on, that is fundamental duties we added in 1976 as part of the 42nd Amendment Act. During Indira Gandhi government's time and in fact 42nd Amendment Act is otherwise known as the mini constitution. Mini constitution, because we have made a series of changes, and right from beginning till end, some or other amendments, some additions were made. In that part we have even added these duties. Normally duties are not found in established democracies. Normally duties, fundamental duties are not mentioned in any of the democratic constitution. Duties are not mentioned in any of the established democracies. So, duties are something which are antithetical to rights, that is the opposite of right. See, if you have right, when I say you have a right, then duties cannot be there. See, at home, in our childhood days, I still remember, and my mother used to say, like, you do this, then I will give you this food or this cake or this sweets. So, it is always subject to that. If you study this much, if you complete this much, I will give you this. So, if you do your duty, I will give you this right. So, that is not a right. There cannot be. Rights are unconditional. So, the moment you add duties, you are putting a question mark on your rights. Rights, the value of the rights, or rather that the true meaning of rights will be diluted when you are asked to do some duty. Rights are supposed to be unconditional. Rights are not subject to your duty also. Rights are, it's not a charity by the state towards you. It's not a charity of the government towards you. You being a citizen of this country, you have certain rights, and there cannot be any conditions attached to that. So, that is the true meaning. That is why in all established democracies, the well-established modern democracies, the Western democracies, no mention about fundamental duties. The only exception as a democracy today, where there are some fundamental duties, are Japanese constitution in Japan, some passing reference in French constitution also. But otherwise, whether it is US, UK, Australian, Canadian, Irish, any of these countries, there is no mention about fundamental duties. I will come to that. So, 42nd Amendment Act added fundamental duties. Part 4A of the constitution was added, and in that 42nd Amendment Act, we added 10 duties. 10 duties were added, and now we have 11 duties, and 11th duty was added in 86th Amendment Act. That is related to the duty of the parents to send their children to school. Okay, that is the duty of the parents to send their children to school. I will come to that. So, there are 11 duties right now, and as far as the UPSC exam is concerned, you will be surprised to know at least twice in the main exam, they asked us to write what are the fundamental duties enshrined in our constitution. These 11 duties we are asked to write one by one. Very simple, straightforward. So, twice in the main exam it was asked. In preliminary, almost every year there is a question related to duty. One or other duty is asked, and you are asked to identify, or 4 options are given, which of them are fundamental duties, like that it will be coming. So, it is very important, you have to memorize these 11 duties, even if it is not exactly word by word, you should know. So, coming to Article 51A, Article 51A, that is the fundamental duties, and it shall be the duty of every citizen of India. So, 51A, the small a, that is the first one, is to abide by the constitution and respect its ideals, institutions, national flag, national anthem. To abide by the constitution and respect the the national flag and national anthem. Respect ideals, institutions, the ideals, institutions, national anthem and national flag. So, 4 things are mentioned about in the first duty. Article 51A brackets A, the subclause A, that means to abide by the constitution and respect its ideals, institutions, national anthem and national flag. Okay. So, 4 things in 51A. Now, 51AB subclause, the second duty, to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle for freedom. Cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national struggle. Cherish and follow the ideals of national freedom struggle. Cherish and follow the ideals of the national freedom struggle, which inspired our national freedom struggle, but national freedom struggle. Then C, 51A C, to uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. Uphold and protect sovereignty and unity and integrity of India. So, we are asked, the duty is given to us to uphold and protect the sovereignty and unity and integrity of India. Then D, 51A D, the 4th duty, to defend the country and render national service whenever it is called upon. Defend the country and render national service if you are called upon, and render national service if called upon. If you are called upon, you should defend the country and render service to the nation. Then E, promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood among all people. Promote transcending religious, linguistic, regional or sectional diversities. To renounce the practices derogatory to the dignity of women. So, E is a big one. 51A E, we are asked to promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood. Promote harmony, and the spirit of common brotherhood among all the people, transcending. That means harmony among or crossing religious, linguistic, regional or sectional diversities. Transcending religious, linguistic, regional or sectional diversities. So, promote harmony transcending religious, linguistic, regional or sectional diversities. And one more very important point in Article 51(e) is renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women. It's part of 51(e), renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women. Practices derogatory to the dignity of women. So, this is very important. 51(e) is important because promote harmony transcending, crossing religious, linguistic, regional or sectional diversity, and also to renounce practices derogatory to the dignity of women. So, E. Then 51(f), 51(a), F, another duty to value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. Value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. The rich heritage of our composite culture. Then G, to protect and improve natural environment including forest, lake, rivers, wildlife, and have compassion to living creatures. So, 51(a), G, to protect and improve natural environment, to protect natural environment. Then forest, lakes, rivers, wildlife. Forest, lakes, rivers, wildlife, etc. And to create compassion for living creatures. Compassion for living creatures. Compassion for living creatures. H, to develop scientific temper, humanism, spirit of inquiry and reform, humanism. Be a human being, very important. Okay, 51(a), H, scientific temper, which is which is very much missing in many people, and to develop humanism and spirit of inquiry, reforms. Humanism, spirit of inquiry and reforms. So, scientific temper, to develop scientific temper, humanism and the spirit of inquiry and reforms. Then safeguard public property and abjure violence, 51(a)(i), safeguard public property and abjure violence, I mean renounce, abjure violence. And now J, 51(a)(j), the 10th one, to strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual and collective activity, so that the nation constantly rise to higher levels of endeavor and achievement. So, J talks about strive towards excellence in all spheres. Strive towards excellence in all spheres. Strive towards excellence in all spheres of individual as well as collective, collective level. And K, who is a parent or a guardian. So, that is the latest added. So, please remember 51(a), K, a parent or guardian should provide opportunities for education for his child, to provide opportunities for education for their children. Okay, provide opportunities, and who are in the age group of 6 to 14, वो भी लिखा है, it is in the age group of 6 to 14 age group. Okay, so these are the 11 fundamental duties. A couple of points I would like to remind you here. So one is the, in which abide by the constitution, respect the ideals and institution, national flag, national anthem, okay, to cherish and follow the noble ideals which inspired our national freedom struggle. So this uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India. So please remember our preamble. So 51C, a couple of points, let me just remind you. Article 51AC has a lot of similarity with preamble. In preamble also we talked about in the unity and integrity of India. So this unity and integrity of word, uphold and protect the sovereignty, unity and integrity, 51C is there, and even in the preamble also it is there. So please don't forget that preamble, there is a connection. So where is that? But exactly the sovereignty, unity and integrity of India, that is clearly mentioned in the fundamental duty to uphold and protect. So it is the fundamental duty, but there is a similarity with preamble. Then similarly, defend the country, okay, it's okay. To promote harmony and spirit of common brotherhood among the people of India, no issues, no special thing about it, but renounce the practice derogatory to the dignity of women, very specifically mentioned in fundamental duty. Then value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture. Now coming to 51A, F and G. Very important. Okay. Now let me talk about the our directive principles of state policy a bit. Then you will understand that there is some similarity here. Okay. So let us see. Say for example, see 49. It says protection of monuments and places and objects of national importance. So it is about the national importance. Sorry, the protection of and protection of. 49 says protection of monuments and places and objects of national importance. So article, let me just add here, article 49, protection of monuments and places and objects of national importance. And places and objects of national importance. Now, because that is where in preliminary you may get confused, that is why I am just talking specifically. It is the obligation of the state to protect every monument or place of object of artistic or historic interest, and to be a national importance from spoliation, disfiguration, destruction, removal, disposal or export as the case may be. So protection of monuments and places and objects of national importance is mentioned, and it is obligation of the state to protect every monument of or place or object of artistic or historic interest declared by or under the law made by the parliament to be of national. So no mention about heritage asset, but national importance is mentioned in article 49. Similarly, 48A, protection and improvement of environment and safeguarding of forest and wildlife. Now 48A, protection and improvement of environment. Protection and improvement of environment and safeguarding of forest and wildlife. Safeguarding of forest and wildlife. So 48A, the state shall endeavor to protect and improve the environment and safeguard the forest and wildlife of the country. So that is correct. So now coming back to our fundamental duties, just see how is it linked, or rather how that, what is the similarity, because I am only interested in that similarity part, because that is where you may get confused in the exam, because which is a fundamental duty or which is a fundamental directive principle, like that, when the question comes we may get confused a bit. Now you see this value, and F says to value and preserve rich heritage of our composite culture. So, but F says value and preserve the rich heritage of our composite culture, but 49 says protection of monument and places and objects of national importance. So, rich heritage of our composite culture, heritage. Heritage word is not there in directive principles, heritage of composite culture. So, that F is similar to article 49 we can say. Then G, to protect and improve the natural environment including forests, lakes, rivers, wildlife, and to have compassion for living creature is very similar to article 48A, protection and improvement of environment and safeguarding of forests and wildlife. So, please understand, so 48A and 51A G, okay, 51AG is similar. One is directive principle, this is fundamental duty. So, this is where you may get a bit confused, so be careful about this. Then to develop scientific temper, humanism and the spirit of inquiry, no problem. Safeguard public property and abjure violence, Mahatma Gandhi, our non-violence, all these things are incorporated in it. Strive for excellence, no issues. So, these three articles, so three articles which you may get confused. One is this 51AC and the preamble, because sovereignty, integrity, unity and integrity of India is mentioned in article 51AC. Then we have 51AF and 51AG. F talks about here it is very similar to article 49, protection of monuments and places and objects of national importance. Here you are talking about heritage and composite culture. And G, it talks about protection of wildlife and by and large the same. 51AG and 48A is almost similar. Okay. So, be careful, this is how you may get confused a bit. So, that is why, but 11 fundamental duties are there, please memorize, no choice, straight questions are asked, and it can be, you can simply get good marks if you remember these carefully, and you have no choice, you have to memorize. So, that is all about these fundamental duties in general. Now, in another video, I will be talking about the need and a bit of analysis of fundamental duties.